Between Sections podcast. My name is Eboni Harris.
And I'm Eliza Keen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch.
We appreciate you for joining us this week. If you joined us last week on the Facebook Live, I realized a couple of days after that the audio did not go through, but we will be re-recording the episode because it was such a good conversation about racial battle fatigue, which was a new concept that I learned about. And we had a really good conversation about how that impacts clients, how that impacts us as people of color, and kind of course, not trying to normalize the feelings that we have when it comes to feeling like you have to fight racial issues or deal with racial issues on a regular basis.
When you wake up in the morning.
When you watch the news, when you're walking down the street, when people are interacting, like all those things when you're at work. So yeah, we'll be recording that and posting that for y'all to hear that conversation. But today we have Dominique Battle with us. Thank you for joining.
Yes.
Thanks guys for having me.
Of course.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're excited too. You're from Creative Counseling Living. And so we're going to start like we always do. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into mental health, and what your practice kind of focuses on?
Sure. I live in the Central Florida area, so in the surrounding Orlando area. I currently have a private practice, Creative Counseling, in Winter Park, Florida. I also have a second location in Vero Beach, Florida, which is all the way on the other side of the state.
Okay.
I've been a therapist since 2014. I've been in private practice for almost 2 years now. I love the work. I've always wanted to be a therapist. And it's so crazy because about 6 months ago, roughly, my son asked me, Mom, if you weren't a therapist, what would you do? And I was like, that's a really good question. I don't know what I would be doing because I've always wanted to be, a therapist. That was my one goal, and there was no plan B. And so I love what I do. I love the people that I work with. And it's an amazing career. It's been an amazing journey.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Awesome.
Your son sounds so interesting.
Yes.
He's got all the insight.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He's like,
he does. He sits me down sometimes and he'll give me a lecture, like if I'm having a bad day, and he'll be my therapist. Like, Mom, well, how did you feel about that? Like when they said that, I'm like, what did your boss say? I was like, well, she said, and he was like, well, I just feel like you just need to go lay down, and he'll like put his hand like and he'll like tuck me in.
Aww.
that is so sweet.
Well, we're gonna have him on the next episode.
Right. you want to teach your kids? Teach other kids how to support parents. So today we're going to be talking about couples and relationships. And of course, you gave us a list of things. And I was like, let's talk about relationships because that's what I love talking about all the time. So I'm excited to talk a lot about just long distance relationships as well as dual careers, because I feel like that's something that, especially now, like most families, both parents are working, and how that impacts the dynamic. So I guess we'll start with just when you're talking about long distance relationships, what do you see are the biggest challenges?
Some of the biggest challenges, of course, is the distance, being geographically separate. One of the other bigger things that come up throughout the course of treatment is the relational insecurity that kind of happens because there's not that physical closeness. And so jealousy pops up, of course, because I can't see what you're doing. The lack of intimacy, because people, if all you've done so far is be close to your partner, you kind of don't know how to navigate those dynamics when the partner is in another state. A lot of some of the other challenges, I guess, that I hear when I'm working with couples is they try to get the advice from their friends, and their friends are telling them one thing, but their reality is different. And so they try to place these opinions on this completely separate reality, and then it just kind of doesn't mesh. And so they end up creating conflict that wasn't there before, just invisible conflict for no reason, because they're trying to figure out how to navigate it, and they don't necessarily have a place to go to find those answers of how to best navigate the situation in the most healthiest manner.
I'm curious as to what made you go into wanting to specialize in helping long distance couples. Like, how did you kind of stumble upon this niche?
I'm in a long distance marriage.
Okay. That makes sense.
There you go.
Yeah. My husband is in the military. He's been in for about 16 years. But in total, we've been together for 9 years.
Okay.
So we have been geographically close. couples. We've lived together for a short while, and now we're married, and we're doing it at a distance.
Yeah.
And it's been an up and down experience, but it's been an amazing experience for me as an individual because I've learned so much about myself without having to navigate the day-to-day stuff that happens, like the chores and the sex and all that other stuff that happens day to day that kind of drowns out emotional, relational stuff. And we're forced to have to deal with it. We're forced to have to deal with those challenges that come up individually and within the relationship. And it's made me grow exponentially as a person. And so I felt like if I can help people learn how to navigate it, who want to do it, because it ain't for everybody, but those who want to do it, then, you know, they can come out on the other side of it, just better people, and knowing that this experience didn't break them.
Right.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
I love that.
So on the other side, can you talk about some issues that maybe a dual career family might face or a couple might face?
Some of the similar ones, actually, the lack of emotional intimacy, because they're kind of like passing ships on the sea when they come in and come out if they have different schedules. I know a couple of the couples that I work with, they have a hard time trying to find quality time because when they do find time to spend together, they're too exhausted to even do anything. And a lot of irritability comes up, which creates arguments and creates conflicts, which creates, okay, well, I'm not talking to you for the next 5 days because I'm mad at something that you did 2 weeks ago, but we haven't had the time to talk about it. So I'm going to just carry this anger, you know, from week to week to week.
Right.
And then that creates that emotional distance. So some of the similar things, only thing that's, I guess, the physical closeness they have, but they still experience the lack of emotional intimacy, like I said. They still experience the lack of sex. They still experience not knowing how to navigate, the schedules and the emotional closeness and all of that other stuff that comes along with relationships.
And you're making such a good point that physical proximity does not equal automatic emotional closeness.
Right.
Like you can have somebody, you know, overseas and feel closer and more connected to them than somebody who's sleeping next to you every night. And I think what you're highlighting is the intention behind that and the nurturing that's required in order to have those connections.
I think when it comes to the nurturing, in order to, you know, have that intimacy, with long distance relationship and with dual career, people have to learn how to think outside of the box. So when you think about date night, don't get mad because he can't physically take you to the restaurant, but you guys can share a meal on Skype and have conversation, and it creates the same experience. My husband, who's a godsend, I don't know how he puts up with me, but he's amazing because anytime he's deployed, anytime we've been separate, like he is consistent with, I guess, depositing those little emotional deposits every day, consistently throughout the day. And although I miss him, I still feel close to him, even though he's, you know, this far away, because those emotional deposits are made often, because we are making time to talk to each other. We are making time to handle the conflicts as they come up versus letting them, you know, expand. So it's just thinking outside of the box, making sure that you are trying to be as creative as possible when it comes to sharing time with your significant other. Anytime, you know, those feelings of jealousy, those feelings of irritability come up, to have a conversation about it and to truly tackle it when you can. Because, I mean, essentially all you got time to do is talk. So you can talk about it at any point, because that's all y'all are doing for the most part anyway, right? Unless y'all are, you know, spending time with each other and meeting up.
Yeah.
I have a question. Because as sex therapists also, you know, a lot of what we talk about and help clients with is challenges around their sex lives. So what advice do you give to couples, particularly with the long distance relationships, about how to kind of infuse that erotic energy, that sexual energy, and maintain that in their relationship?
Okay. Skype sex is amazing.
Videos for everything. Okay.
We do talk about it, you know, when I'm working with couples, the idea of mutual masturbation, seeing that as something that they're open to. Being able to have phone sex throughout the day if, you know, their schedules allow. Being able to have Skype sex, you know, when it's at night and they're talking and they have the time to do that. So it can happen. Again, you just have to be creative. You have to see if you're willing first to be open about it, because I don't want to push it if they're not open to it, but kind of see where their comfortability lies when it comes to how open are you willing to be sexually to be able to maintain that physical closeness and that physical intimacy in the relationship, so that you don't go lacking for so long, because that, the sexual frustration can cause issues and conflicts in the relationship, and that's not always healthy.
When we were talking about the dual career couples, I was thinking about, because my practice is primarily couples, and so most of them is dual career. And one of the things that comes up a lot is the roles, right? Like the who does what and how much does this person help, and the expectations that a lot of times we put on ourselves, but the expectations of like cooking every day or cleaning and all that kind of stuff. And then feeling like the other person is taking advantage of that, even though both people have a full-time career. And so for you, what do you see as like a way to kind of navigate that, the roles that we play within the relationship?
With dual career couples, because sometimes the schedules and the challenges can change from week to week. One week may be heavier at work than the following week. And so I do practice a lot of Gottman method couple therapy. And so I utilize the State of the Union meeting. And I try to incorporate that and teach them how that works. And we do some role play sessions within the therapy session to teach them how to schedule out at least an hour a week or an hour a couple times a week to be able to sit down and talk about what needs to get done. Yeah. So you're setting aside a specified time to talk about what needs to get done, what needs to get done for the house, and what needs to get done for us emotionally. And then they work throughout the week based on that conversation. Because that not only builds the intimacy with them being able to collaboratively decision make together, but also getting things done and not having to come home and then being irritated or frustrated because something didn't get done when nobody talked about it and nobody set a standard for what was going to happen with the dishes for them to get washed.
These expectations without having actually
The conversation.
had the conversation.
Right.
Or the
expectations.
Yeah, the feeling comes up a lot of, well, I'm doing all of this, and the other person is like, but I don't care if you do it. Like we don't have to
do it because you want to have clean dishes.
Exactly. I can leave the dishes for 2 days and be perfectly fine. But now you're upset with me because you've chosen it.
I can live in the film.
Exactly.
Exactly. Another thing that I try to incorporate because of those reasons specifically is love languages and reading, the love language book. Because if you can understand what your partner's love language is, then you can kind of incorporate that into household chores. You can incorporate that into how you love them. I know for me, a personal experience is that my husband would, when we were living together, he would wash the dishes every day when he got home. And I just assumed he just wanted, clean dishes. I wasn't washing them. He was washing them. They were clean. But after we read the book, he told me that he was doing it as a way to show me love because he was so tired all week. And his schedule had changed. So he was working night shifts. So he would clean dishes and then he would go to bed. And that was his way of depositing emotionally into me. And then once he told me, because I didn't know ahead of time, once he told me that that's what he was doing, every time he did it after that, it changed my perspective when he did it. It was like, oh, so he's doing that to love me and not just doing it because there's a chore. Yeah. So if you can continuously have those conversations and I guess teach your partner the reasons behind why you do certain things for that person, it can really change the dynamic within the household and within the relationship.
Right. And acceptance that when someone tells you I'm doing this because I love you, believe it.
Exactly.
So what do you feel like is the biggest mistake that these couples can make within a relationship?
I think asking the advice of other people that are not privy to their reality, that don't understand their reality. Because if, I have a long distance spouse who can't call me because the times are different, like he's in a different time zone, then I can't get upset because I haven't heard from him this morning because he's literally asleep. But if I've been to a friend and they're like, well, girl, you can't be with nobody that didn't call you in the morning or at least checking on you, then I will probably get upset and be like, you know what? You're right. So let me go the rest of the day ignoring his phone calls because now I'm upset. And then he's looking like, well, what did I do? And so it creates those unnecessary conflicts. And it happens a lot and it happens consistently because we turn to our girlfriends, we turn to people that we trust for advice. But if they don't understand your reality, then they really can't give you accurate and healthy advice
Right.
on how to navigate that experience. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes, is seeking outside sources that isn't therapy, that's people who don't know your reality, and kind of taking that as the Bible.
Okay. That's a good one, because I do feel, and I think I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I feel like sometimes couples that are in long distance relationships feel like they can't do therapy. And so I know that I work with couples. If one person is in Texas and another person is somewhere else, then we do therapy. And it's online, HIPAA compliant.
Exactly.
But it is possible for you to seek help even if y'all don't live in the same location. So I think that's awesome that you're able to help these couples that are having long distance relationships.
Yeah, and it kind of opens the door for that treatment as well for them.
Right. So I have a question that's just kind of random, and it made me think. I've written an article before on long distance couples, and my number one rule is like having an end game. So like, what's the end? What's the point, or whatever? And maybe that's not for everybody, but for you, when does that discussion start? Like, if you meet someone and it either turns into long distance or was already long distance when y'all met, when does that conversation start? Of like, okay, who's going to move where, or what's the plan?
Probably the first couple sessions, when we're kind of trying to figure out what the goals are, just to see if they had already had that conversation or if they're just kind of floating. Because then it'll give me an idea of where some of the serious issues lie, whether it may be commitment or maybe it may be because y'all are trying to reach some educational goals, professional goals, whatever. Whether or not they've had the conversation before, but kind of let me know how many things that we need to deal with.
Right.
Within the conversation and within the treatment. So very, very early on, because most of the time, if it's a healthy situation and you guys are either going into long distance or have already been, then hopefully that conversation has already happened. We're doing this because of this goal, or we're doing that because of this goal.
Right.
So super early on.
Okay. So can you tell us what are your favorite resources, books, podcasts, whatever you like to give?
Between sessions is my favorite.
Yay! You are the winner! Thank you so much.
I do love Therapy for Black Girls. I use this relationship checkup, the Gottman relationship checkup, that I think is absolutely amazing because it touches on every single aspect of what would be in a relationship and kind of shows the couple what issues they may be having, where the concerns may be, how to help them in those areas. So that's an amazing resource to start off with, because then we can kind of build the treatment plan from that. Love Language for long distance couples. The Love Languages book, the military edition, whether you're in the military or not, it kind of talks about how to maintain those love languages if you're at a distance. So that's very, very helpful. The Science of Trust, I have it right here. By Gottman. I love it because it does teach emotional attunement for couples and how to pay attention to what your spouse may be doing or how their voice changes when they say certain things. And that kind of stuff can be picked up on over the phone or by video. You don't necessarily have to have the physical closeness to be able to pick up on that attunement when it happens. So those are some of my favorite resources that I try to use as often as possible.
That's awesome. I'm typing. That's why I'm looking down. But that's awesome. I don't think I knew that there's a love language for military couples.
I didn't either.
So that's going to be extremely helpful. Okay. So tell us why you think therapy is dope.
Therapy is dope because it is your space. We spend so much of our time working, being parents, being wives, friends, whatever. But we don't often have something that is dedicated for just our time outside of sleep, and we're not even awake for that. But therapy is your space, is your time to be yourself, to be completely you, and not have to worry about hurting somebody's feelings. It's completely objective and non-judgmental. And I think everybody needs to have a little pocket in the world that they can call theirs. And then they can come out just kind of feeling better and lighter, because life is hard.
Yeah, that's true. How are you working to change the mental health game for minority communities?
I try to be a therapist for the everyday person. Everybody doesn't fit in the diagnosable box. Sometimes they just have issues that they need help with navigating those transitions, navigating divorce, breakups, whatever. So I try to reach out to or present myself to the everyday person who I can say, you don't need to call or go to therapy whenever you're in a crisis. You can just go because this phase of your life is hard, or you're feeling stuck and you don't know why you feel stuck. You just know that you're stuck. And I don't want to put you in a box. I want to meet you where you are and kind of build around that. So that's my hope. That's my goal. I also work with kids with a community service organization and try to reach some of the families that can't afford therapy or don't have real access to therapy that way as well. So that's how I'm trying to build that community support.
That's awesome. Our last question is, what makes you a dope therapist?
I think I'm a dope therapist. I think that I'm very relatable. I try to be very warm and open to whoever walks through my door. Therapy is more conversational than it is buttoned up, like we're talking to. So sitting on my couch is like you're sitting in the front room with your friends. I have clients that come in and they grab the blanket, they take shoes off, they kind of get over to the side and they just, they go start talking. We do some very deep work, some very important and imperative work, but it's conversational and it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're helping yourself. Right. Which I think is important for them when they walk in here.
That's awesome. Love it. We love it. Thank you so much for joining us. Let everybody know, how do they follow you? If someone wants to book you as a therapist, how do they contact you? All of that.
Awesome. You can follow me on Instagram with, I think I'm Counseling with Dominique on Instagram. On Facebook, the same thing, Counseling with Dominique. Practice page is Creative Counseling Living on Facebook and Instagram. There's a book button on all of those sites. And you can reach out to me there. You can DM me questions, not scenarios. And I'm more than happy to answer whatever questions I can.
Awesome. All right, we'll make sure to have that all linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, make sure you follow us across social media at Melanin Mental Health, Melanin Health on Twitter. Head over to melaninmentalhealth.com to find a dope therapist. We have a directory of Black and Latinx clinicians of color that are Black and Latinx, as well as the dope merchandise, and to find all of the previous Between Sessions podcasts. And we will talk to y'all later.
Ciao.
I'm going to